Hey there guys, Hail Plasma 324, and welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. In the last part, we experienced the second scene with Shizune, and Shizune told us her plans for the future. And we also found out that Misha planned to become a sign language teacher and go overseas for schooling, which she needs a recommendation. But that was then, this is now. So, let's get started. There haven't been any further disruptions since that week. Of course, that's what I thought the week before that, and Shizune and Misha's sudden newfound clarity had left me feeling a little lost and envious. I thought there was no way I could rest easy at the time. But unfortunately, nothing came of my worries. Then, before I knew it, there was enough to deal with in school that I managed to put them off in my mind. And still, everything was fine. I was wrong. I'd seen Shizune and Misha's carefully hidden vulnerabilities, but they were still strong. Now we're going to be graduating soon. I've grown so comfortable here that it has kind of crept up on me. When it did, I felt sad and didn't want to think about it. So, I didn't. Not until recently. About a week ago, I started making a list of people I thought I should say goodbye to before graduation. The first rule I laid out for myself was that I would not try to write them down in my mind in any kind of special order, least important to most important. Somehow it ended up that way anyway, even though it also ended up being a shorter list than I expected it to be. Kenji is somewhere in the middle.
They said I would have to graduate eventually. Well, I showed them. I've lived here rent-free for more than long enough. If you take into account the rising cost of the land, I think you could say I've won in the end. No, you know what? I did win. History will acknowledge me as the victor.
The victor of what?
I managed to stay out of sight and slip through the cracks. I beat the system.
If you put it that way, it sounds like you just ran away from the system.
Sometimes running is the greatest form of victory, like in the Olympics.
I'm too tired to argue with him. Who's he kidding? Everyone knows the shot put is the best Olympic event in any case. So what you're basically saying is, you won't miss it?
Miss what?
School, dummy.
No, I told you. Oh, no, I told you. This place is too filled with feminists. It's beyond saving. But at least I'll be able to get out before it reaches critical mass. I'll only come back years later when they build a statue to honor me.
Do they do the 10-year later reunion thing here?
How would I know that? Probably. Anyway, I have to start packing now. Take care of yourself, man.
You should have packed a week ago like I did. Not that I had much to pack.
That's not how it goes. You're supposed to do everything at the last minute. Men are better at doing everything at the last minute. The last minute can have more productivity than, like, the entire week before it. It's how we keep shit fair. Pfft, you'll never understand our manly ways.
You take care of yourself, too. With a salute, he shoots backwards through the door, slamming it shut behind him hard enough that the entire dorm probably heard it. I've noticed that a lot of people slam doors here. Maybe it's a local thing. Take care of myself. It's the first time I've heard him say it. Usually he ends our conversation with something like, "See ya, I'll pay you back later, man." Well, he was a little annoying sometimes, but I'll miss him. I cross him off my list mentally. The list is very short now, and I once again discard the notion of going through it in any kind of order. Like I said, I never had that intention. So I go out to look for Shizune and Misha. I can think of only one place they could be, the student council room, of course. Turning around the corner, I almost bump into a small group of students. For a second, a bitter feeling flashes through me, since for all I know, that could have been fatal. It's the new student council. There aren't a lot of them, but it's a lot more than 3, which is good, since it means that there's enough of them that can have their own title. It would have been cool if I could have had a little desk plaque with my name and title on it. I don't think they do that now, or ever did, unfortunately. The new student council surrounds me while I'm thinking. If anyone were looking at it from afar, it would be a pretty sinister sight. Maybe they've come to finally get back on me for calling them the new student council those times. I was just translating for Shizune, but I guess I should have been less lazy and more tactful. I regret nothing. I find myself being thanked for everything I've done. I'm being thanked. This should make me happy, considering how often I would think to myself that I'm being in the student council was a completely thankless job. It does make me happy, but I can't enjoy it fully. I wonder how things would have turned out if our student council had grown as large as the one that's set to replace us. Even though they've only got 2 or 3 other members, it's enough that they have set roles, not like us where Shizune seemed to be the president, but that was it. The new council thanking me gives me a strange feeling. It's like coming back home and seeing that a tree you nurtured years before has grown. But I feel like I didn't nurture that tree enough. I wonder what more I could have done. would likely have made Shizune furious that I would feel distant from what I did in the student council this way, or that I'd imply that I didn't do enough, but it's true. I was only following her. So, in a way, I also feel like I'm viewing that same tree from far away, as if I'm seeing it from a window of a train as it passes by. I indulge in these thoughts for too long. When I snap out of it, I realize that I'm still standing there, surrounded by the new student council. It's the only thing I can do, and apologize for zoning out. Then, I thank them back. When they walk away, I enter the student council room, which looks a lot messier, but seems to have gained a computer. It makes sense. I recall hearing one of the clipboard girls talking about her plans to use a computer to make all the boring data entry Shizune does more tolerable. I can't remember which one said it, though. Oi. I'm just gonna go with Oi. Oi seems to be the more ambitious one. Then again, Kaiko seems more serious. Well, it doesn't matter now. I'm not alone in the room, but instead of finding Shizune here like I expected, it's just Misha. She's sitting on Shizune's desk, like Shizune herself often does, swinging her legs back and forth. When our eyes meet, she hops off and inexplicably poses like a superhero.
Hi, Hee-chan. I'm surprised to see you here.
What are you doing?
You first.
I was looking for Shizune.
Me too. I thought she would be here, but I got Hee-chan instead.
Gee, thanks.
Wah! Well, this is good. Really. I wanted to talk to you anyway.
About what? I take the time to glance around the room a little more. I see a hot plate. They're really living high.
I wanted to say sorry, of course, for all the trouble I made for you and Hee-chan.
Don't call it trouble.
Right.
Don't apologize to Shizune.
Right, but that isn't why I'm here, Hee-chan. I wouldn't apologize to Hee-chan. Since you're here, I want to ask you a question. Hee-chan, what do you think it would take for Hee-chan to be happy?
World domination, obviously.
Wah! Even though you're joking, Hee-chan. No, even if she could, it wouldn't make Hee-chan happy. Only for a little while. Hee-chan, you ever heard of artists who tear up their paintings as soon as they finish them? Such people really exist in the world, you know. I remembered all of a sudden. It's just like Hee-chan, now that I think about it. Whenever Hee-chan sets up a challenge for herself and completes it, she acts like her skills have no meaning anymore. I wonder, is it because she can't create anything permanent? It's just like those artists. How they want to create a piece of art to leave behind, a really great one, but they can't do it. It's really obvious when I look back at it, but I didn't see it before. Now I'm scared. I wonder if Hee-chan will ever be happy.
No, I don't think so. Not about her ever being happy, I think you're wrong. Shizune is actually more happy than I thought. I actually think it's kind of amazing. Usually people don't think about that kind of stuff until they're middle-aged or dying. Then they think, I want to leave something behind, or I want to be remembered. Like me. Only I skipped ahead a little. My life was short, and seemed even shorter after my heart attack. I didn't think about what I was leaving behind, because I very quickly thought there was almost nothing I was leaving behind. So all that was left for me was to stew in my own bitterness. Shizune already wants to leave a mark somewhere, but she wants to do it by helping people. That's why celebrations are so important to her. She wants to become she even wants to be a philanthropist. I think it's the best way to live, living on by what you give to others. Even if it's for a selfish reason, that's okay too. Shizune is already happy because if something goes well, there will always be someone else to see it and remember it. That's what makes her happy. Misha sighs, arms stiff at her sides, hands tapping the air softly. Before, I still thought, I might be able to make Shizune happy, and I was in a good place to do it before. Since I was an interpreter, I could always be with her. Maybe. And I thought I would do it by becoming like Hee-chan's shadow. And I kept trying even when she rejected me. I felt like I was stuck and I couldn't do anything but watch Hee-chan's back get smaller while she kept going. I was scared, even though I should have just accepted it. It's hard. Maybe I could have at least understood Hee-chan. But it looks like I was completely wrong after all. I didn't know that, or even think about it. Hee-chan would call it a complete loss. Okay, I'm done. That's it, Hee-chan. But since you're the one who knows Hee-chan best of all, you can't make her cry, or I'll be angry. I'm gonna go overseas after this. I even have letters of recommendation, or I don't think I'd be able to go normally. Maybe I'll study and become a sign language teacher over there. Who knows? That means you have to look after Hee-chan, okay? Misha smiles as honest as ever, but she's obviously changed. The look in her eyes is that of a much more attentive girl. It seems to be true that hardship builds wisdom. It reminds me of the look in Shizune's eyes. I wonder what Shizune might have been through to become who she is. I can take a guess, or maybe she was always like that. I want to see her even more, and suggest that we should look for her together. Of course, it's just a pretext to spend more time with a friend. It's strange how it hasn't been long since we last hung out together, the three of us, in the span of a routine student council day. Yet, it seems like it was long ago. Thinking about the future can put that kind of lens over the past. Speaking of lenses, outside, Yuko is standing around fiddling with a tiny, modern-looking camera in her hands. It would be unnoticeable if it weren't metallic enough to reflect the sunlight. Misha calls out to her. I thought we were supposed to be looking for Shizune.
Hi.
What are you doing? I'm just taking photos of everyone.
That's obvious.
Awkward Misha. Misha, I'll never forget how you taught me that someone can hold so many secrets and still have a massive lack of tact. Where's my photo? You want a copy? I don't know. Well, only if you promise to keep it a secret, or else everyone won't want to.
That happened to me in elementary school, only it was with candy.
Okay, I'll take a photo of you now then. Oh, wait, I'm not ready. I was just kidding.
Ichan, make a peace sign.
I'm not going to do that. The camera flash goes off, blinding me. Yuko shields herself behind it, letting out a moan of frustration. You're not supposed to turn the flash on outdoors. She starts apologizing unnecessarily, then quietly slips away. Ah, wait. Yes?
Did you see Chi-chan around here?
Yes, in front of the gate. Thanks. I can barely get it out before I have to start following behind Misha. Fortunately, not for very long. The gate is barely a minute's walk from here, even though that can be tiring for me sometimes. We see Shizune with the student council. They're probably thanking her too. As soon as she sees us, she shoos them away, which is very easy since not any of them can understand sign language or use it, so they're not too sad about leaving. Which in turn makes me wonder why they would thank her for someone who can, without someone who can, but it's the thought that counts. Misha immediately hugs Shizune and then leans against the gate next to her. I, on the other hand, decide to hang back a little and let them talk. After all, Misha wanted to talk to Shizune this whole time. I can wait. I even turn away so I don't eavesdrop on the conversation. I end up losing track of the time. When I look back at my watch, it's already been 10 minutes. I wonder if they're done, and then turn around to find them behind me. What are you thinking about? Boring philosophical things I don't want to talk about. Don't worry, I'm not thinking about it too hard. Good, getting philosophical at a time like this would be the worst thing you could do. Yeah, I just want to stand here for a bit. It's relaxing.
Why, it was a busy week.
Not really, not for me. I know that they must have been busy, but I think I know what I want to do now, and when it hit me, I don't feel particularly fired up or anxious. It is the opposite. I feel at peace for the first time in a long time, and I want to savor that feeling a little more. I think that I want to teach here. As soon as I thought this, a long winding road appeared in my mind, an uncertain road that leads back here. I wonder if I'll be able to meet someone in the future like me, someone filled with bitterness. I want to talk to that person since I can't talk to myself. I want to tell them that life is too short, something that couldn't be told to me, only shown. I want to do it without pity. If I had been pitied, I sure would have died a little more. When I think about the first week, I still think about how well it went. So well that it could only be called the result of kindness. I feel like I want to show others the same kindness. I also want to keep chasing Shizune.
What did the new student council want, Chi-chan?
It's hard to daydream when you have to deal with Misha's voice. I didn't know they had someone who knew sign language. They don't. I think it was mostly just a goodbye, so I appreciate it even though I couldn't tell them. How did you know I was here? Is it supposed to be a secret? Anyway, we just asked Yuko. Did she take a photo of you too? Yes, without asking me first. Since Yuko doing anything spur of the moment is rare, though, I'll let it go. She snaps her fingers more because I think she likes it than out of realization of an idea. We should take a photo of the three of us. We haven't taken a student council photo yet. Now's the perfect chance. But if I have to look at this picture a year from now, I don't want it staring back at me.
What does that mean, Chi-chan?
Pictures are supposed to capture the moment, isn't that right? Without a doubt. They're not portraits. Just standing around would be so stiff. It wouldn't even capture how I feel. I feel like we'll meet again, so this isn't an occasion to take such a serious photo. It should be a see you later type of photo, not a big deal. It should be something more festive. Oh boy. Like this. Follow me. Shizune poses like a musketeer, so quickly that I'm sure even she knows that she's silly.
Ha!
Do we really have to do such a cheesy pose? I can think of no better pose. Misha, go find Yuko.
I don't like this pose either, but I think it's kind of nice.
That doesn't even make sense. She's already gone and returns dragging Yuko behind her. The flash is off. A red LED blinks 3 times above it after Yuko's finger presses the button. Shizune glances at both of us to make sure we have the timing down. Synchronized watches. We jump. I bet that turned out excellently. Okay. Now let's get one with Yuko, too. Wait, no, please. That's not necessary. I want a copy of this photo, too. I'll likely die younger than the average person. My life could unexpectedly burn out at any time. I don't have any time to waste, then. I want to live life as much as possible. I also want to see other people smile from what I've made and done. Living vicariously through the happiness of others doesn't seem so bad. Feeling joy through another person's happiness doesn't seem like such a bad thing. It's the easiest way I can think of to draw out my own life and give it distinction. Maybe this is the meaning that Shizune has found for herself, although it's just my theory. People find themselves alone often in their lives, and without direction. However, people can take refuge in moments of happiness that can dot a person's life like stops on a train map, or waypoints of a memory of a long trail. These individual moments, on reflection, can give a person's life fulfillment. Every friend and festival, and joyful meeting and joyful parting. I want to be able to ask Shizune one day if I'm right. I want to spend the time I have with her. Finally, I want to make Shizune smile for herself. I love you. I pause, wondering if she'll look at me confused and ask why I say it out of the blue. She doesn't. Do they do that reunion thing here? Of course they do. A student council member should know that. Sooner than that, though, okay? Both of you. Right. Yeah. Yuko, you do the pose too. Afterwards, we can go for tea. Shizune laughs as if she doesn't have a care in the world. Misha's laughter joining with hers as easily if it were her own. We'll meet again. And that, everybody, is Shizune's path. My favorite path, my favorite character. That is it. But the video doesn't stop there, because the credits of the good ending show concept art of the girl you've chosen. And it might show concept art of Kenji if you did his path. But after the credits, the video doesn't stop there, so I have 2 extra things to add on. Just not sure what order they're gonna go in. Leaf Studios. And I think now I'm going to cut away so I can add in the other parts that I need to. So, see you guys in just a moment. Alright, now for the first bonus feature. In between recordings, while I was going to different websites talking about Katawa Shoujo, some referring directly to Shizune's path, I came across an epilogue that someone had written for this path, and it seemed pretty good, so I think I'll read it out for you guys. With this image, of course, because I think that suits it best. Perhaps it's to be expected, but I can't help but marvel at how this place has changed a bit. Stepping off the bus, I take a survey of my surroundings. Not that there's much new to take in. It seems that even with the passing of close to a decade, this sleepy little town refuses to let the outside world in. Same small, modest homes and stores, same handful of old couples out for morning walks. The park to only portrays its growing age with slightly larger trees. Of course, if I look behind me, I can also see the old hill. It hasn't changed either. Although, I don't remember it looking quite so steep. Why didn't I just drive here again? Checking my watch a second time to make sure I still have enough time not to rush, I begin my casual ascent. Once upon a time, my condition would have required me to take a few breaks to surmount such a challenge. No such limitations exist now, though. Either due to my increasingly more effective medications or perhaps my own exercise routine, I found my heart to be in top form these days. The last time I had an episode was 3 months ago, and only then after I had tried to run from my house to a hospital a good mile away. Yeah, I really don't need a rest, yet even so, I can't help but stop anyway, taking in the breeze. It's a cold morning breeze, almost enough to make one shiver, if not for my own suit coat. Still, it's somehow refreshing. Not really nostalgia, but it's hard to put my finger on. It feels like this place never left me. Even during my busy university days in Osaka, I couldn't help but feel this is where I belonged. I lay my eyes on the main gates, a combination of brick and plaster and steel that had once brought forth a desire in me to turn around and flee this place. Whether the inspiration of an adult or simple hindsight, I'm very glad that I didn't. When I first saw these gates, what did I see for myself, for my future? Nothing except death. I wasn't even sure if I would live the next day, let alone another 8 years. The memories of the hospital, of laying on a sterile bed surrounded by 4 white walls day after day was still too fresh in my mind back then. How could I have seen anything other than my own mortality? It's no wonder that I had been filled with such dread at being sent here. In retrospect, it felt like I was being swept under the rug, out of sight until I finally croaked. Of course, these same gates are still causing anxiety to rise inside me, but for entirely different reasons. This isn't about my heart condition. This is about my new job. I received the call only a week ago. Muto's retiring, and he recommended they interview me for the position. In all honesty, it's a little sudden. Why is Muto retiring? He can't be that old, surely. Beyond that, I'm hardly an experienced teacher. I've only had about 3 years of experience working at a simple public high school. To get a job offer from a private academy like this, even if I'm an alumni, is overwhelming. I talked to several benefactors and board members, and had a few interviews with some of the staff. It was a remarkably quick process, something that I can't help but be grateful for. I only got the call last night that the job was mine, and that I had to be at Yamaku first thing in the morning for orientation and to meet the staff. As I enter the main courtyard, I make a mental note to tell Kenji that they have yet to erect a giant statue in his honor. Not that I remotely thought they would, but when I told him I'd gotten the job in my last email, he demanded that I make sure he was getting the respect he deserved for his efforts against the feminist infiltration. As always, Kenji marches to such an alien beat, one might not even consider it music, though he seems to have mellowed out somewhat, and even claims to have gotten a girlfriend. He still keeps signing me up for the strangest newsletters, keeping me in the loop, he calls it. Honestly, though, I wonder how many hours of my life I've wasted having to call and unsubscribe. I push open the door to the main building. I see a familiar sight. Muto stands in the reception lobby, leaning awkwardly against the wall. He seems fairly unchanged, even wearing the same drab office attire and overcoat. If anything, his hair is the only indicator of his age, a few streaks of gray lining his beard. Alerted by the sound of my entrance, his features contort into a beaming smile, coming forward to shake my hand enthusiastically. "Nakai, it's good to see you again. Very glad you got the job. Congratulations," he says eagerly. I put on a smile, returning the handshake. "I wouldn't turn down an offer like this. Thanks a lot for recommending me. Isn't it a bit early for you to be retiring, though?" I ask sheepishly, to which I receive a noncommittal shrug. Nobody's really gotten my lectures since you graduated. It sounds sad, but I think I'm ready to return to the field. Some of the new theories coming out are incredible. I was just reading. I follow along down the halls with Muto, listening to one of his familiar ravings. It feels strange. Though I've always been good at science, I was nowhere near proficient enough to understand most of what Muto would rant about back in high school. Now having a physics degree under my belt, it's interesting to be conversing on almost equal ground with him. As I realize this, my spirits pick up slightly. Maybe I'm cut out for this after all. 2 flights of stairs later, Muto guides me to one of the classrooms, stopping outside, and for once, also stopping his lecture halfway. Giving a wiry grin, he turns to me. "This will be your homeroom, so we're holding the orientation here. You're a little I just now noticed that I'm not doing his voice. "This will be your homeroom, so we're holding the orientation here. You're a little early, but the others will show up soon. I have to go get a few things, so I'll see you then, Nakai." He retreats, giving a wave. "And good luck. I'll know you do great," he calls. I return the wave and turn to enter the classroom to prepare myself. Suddenly, my vision goes black as a pair of hands swoop in from behind me, covering my eyes. "Guess who, He-chan?" My breath catches in my throat, and I find myself unable to speak for a moment. Not because I don't know the answer, of course I know it, but because I'm taken aback. Of all the people, I hadn't expected this. "Misha, what are you doing here?" I blurt out, perhaps a bit more blunt than I would have liked it to be. The girl in question gives a tick of annoyance, removing her hands from my face. Aw, I was hoping I'd finally fool you, she pouts in an all-too-familiar fashion. She's changed more than Muto, but it still doesn't seem like much. Her hair's grown out again, and she's still retaining its vibrant pink tint. Her trademark droll is gone, though, along with her small growth spurt, makes her look more mature somehow. Maybe I'm not fooled, but at least surprised. What are you doing here? Visiting an old teacher? I question. Of course, I'm happy to see her, but honestly I have no idea why she'd be here. Flashing that trademark smile of hers, Misha puts her hands to her hips, leaning in closer to me. Wah! Guess again, Hee-chan! I've honestly no idea. I say as such. The triumphant look on her face annoys me a little. It seems I've lost to her somehow. Silly Hee-chan, I work here, she yells, turning the heads of a few teachers shuffling into the classroom. Teacher or not, she still doesn't know what an indoor voice is. Wait, who works here? Wait, works here? Does that mean you're teaching sign language? I ask. The smile I receive is all the answer I need. Why didn't you say anything? We thought you were still overseas. I begin the interrogation. She has some explaining to do. We could have seen her all this time. She gives a small laugh, rubbing the back of her head awkwardly. Well, the truth is, I thought you were still in Osaka, and with everything that's been going on lately, I didn't want to bother you. I cut her off, pulling into her a hug. Stupid. She's still stupid. Bother me? How could seeing Misha ever bother me? I released her after a few moments, reading her confused face. We really should catch up after this, agreed? I asked. The Shanghai. It'll be your treat. Payback for all the time we could have been spending together. She pauses for a moment, then returns my smile. Sure, the orientation! She gives a cry, ducking her head into the room to see it mostly full. I also turn to my side, noticing Muto coming back down the hall. Looks like time is up. Time to face the music. 2 hours later, the grilling is over, and Misha and I are heading toward the gate. That wasn't so bad, was it, Hee-chan? She asked innocently. I scoffed to spite myself. Are you kidding me? They wanted my head. Wah! No, they didn't. They just wanted to test you, Hee-chan. They did the same thing when I got my job here. She claims boldly, and I'm momentarily impressed Misha was able to endure that small slice of hell. I'm about to remark on that, in fact, when I notice a finger tapping on Misha's shoulder. As Misha turns around, I give a small smile. You're early, Shizune. Traffic wasn't too bad? She puffs at her cheeks, obviously miffed with my greeting. Of course, I knew she would be. Carrying a child in your arms makes it a little hard to sign back in response. I give a small smile, leaning in to kiss her gently. Misha is standing to the side of us, standing frozen, staring at Shizune. I give a small chuckle, turning back to Shizune. Sorry, couldn't resist. You want to say hello, right? Here, give it to me. Shizune gives me a grateful smile before placing our daughter softly into my arms. Her presence enough to draw my gaze down on her. We had bet on whether our first would be a boy or a girl. Shizune had bet a girl, I a boy. Of course, I secretly wanted a girl too, which is why I'd bet against her. If these few years of marriage have taught me anything, it's that betting against my wife is the most surefire way to lose, period. It was worth it to lose this one, though. She's beautiful, and that blue hair erupting from her head makes me hope she'll take after her mother in more ways than one. As I look up, I see Misha and Shizune embracing tightly, and I'm reminded of a scene 8 years ago. The three of us standing right in front of this very gate, hands thrust upward to the heavens. We had promised we'd be here together again. And so here we are. Only this time, maybe this arrangement would be a little more permanent. As the girls finally break apart, Shizune turns to me, her hands already slicing through the air. How'd it go, Hisao? She asks. I look down briefly at our daughter. Shizune moves to take her from me, but I give a small shake of the head. Instead, turning to Misha. Looks like you have to translate for me, just like the old days, I say. A strange look comes up on Misha's face. What is she feeling at this moment? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the first time I find myself unable to read her. Think you're still up to the task? I give her a small smile. Misha stands dumbstruck for a minute before she brings a hand to her face, wiping a tear from her eye. I'd love to, Hee-chan, she says warmly. As we walk down the hall toward the Shanghai, I can't help but feel that no time has passed at all. Though things have changed in the end, we are still the same people. Shizune is still the love of my life, and Misha is still our dear friend. Today we'll go down to the Shanghai. We'll drink tea and eat our cakes, catching up to the present. This time, though, we'll be able to do so the next day, and the day after that is next as well. Though we've had to part for a time, now that we're back together, we won't have to again. I look at Shizune and Misha happily signing away, and I look down at my daughter again, sleeping peacefully in my arms. I can't help feeling the joy that bubbles from within me. We're all different people, and we all have different goals. Our daughter, too, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the challenges that she faces in her life. What will she want out of life? Where will she want to go? These questions will have to go unanswered to now. That's not a bad thing, because right now, we're all together again. We'll walk toward the future, together. And that is the epilogue, which I really believe was well written. And of course the picture, goes with this, but that's beside the point. But Epilogue, very nicely done. I don't know exactly who wrote it, but if they happen to reveal themselves, very nice work. And for those who wrote the Shizune path, very, very nice work.
Just thought I'd make a little note of this. I was planning on putting my thoughts on the path at the end of this video, but instead, I'm going to put that in the bonus video I'm going to put out tomorrow. So, you're going to get a lot out of that video. You're going to get my thoughts on this path, the path I'm doing next, and a few other things I think I have to say. So, with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this path. I am HaloPlasma324, now BTFL Reckoning. I'm signing out. See you guys tomorrow in the bonus episode.